Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. And welcome to Dream Our Speaker Series. I'm going to be your MC for tonight, introducing our speakers. My name is Kim Anderson. I am a local educator here in San Antonio, and I also do some voiceover work, as well as love to MC galas and things like that. So I want to make sure I let you guys know that our Dream Ball is tomorrow. So if you haven't gotten your ticket, we do have a few left. There's a little feedback on just that full area. So our Dream Ball is going to be tomorrow, so please go to dreamweek.org if you plan to attend. We do have a few tickets left. Now also tonight, after the event, we do have happy hour till 9 p.m. Okay, our happy hour menu will be over here to the left, right behind the walls here. We have complimentary beer and wine. If you already received yours, it's a ticket per person. Okay, so we can also, offer that for you. Now tonight, our series is sponsored by Community First Health Plans. They have pretty much been the sponsors for all of the speaker series during Dream Week. Now, how many of you guys attended at least one event for Dream Week? What about 3? Oh, we gotta do better, guys. Because Dream Week hosts over 200 events in and around San Antonio. So although that is a lot of events, taking part and supporting our community is so essential. Okay, just like we're here tonight to support our speakers and our community initiatives. Now also silence your phones. Be so kind as to silence your phones so our speakers are not interrupted. And then I also ask that although you may be here to support one of your speaker friends, that if you are able to, stay and hear the other panels, okay? The other speakers, all right? So without further ado, all of our speakers are here. Again, I'm Kim Anderson, and I'm gonna introduce our first speaker. Yesenia. Yesenia has devoted her career to strengthening families and communities through her long-standing leadership with Advance San Antonio. Over the past 28 years, she has advanced from not only teaching parenting classes to leading programs that empower parents as their children's first and most influential teachers. Her vision and her dedication have helped expand access to early childhood education and family support services across San Antonio and Texas rural areas. For Yesenia, this work is more than a profession. It's her calling. The daughter of a Mexican immigrant and raised by a single mother on government assistance, she understands firsthand the transformative power of education and opportunity. She's a proud graduate of the San Antonio Independent School District, and as well, Yesenia became the first in her family to earn both a high school diploma and a college degree. She holds a bachelor's of art and human sciences, a master's of science and nonprofit management from Our Lady of the Lake University. Her professional development reflects her commitment to continuous growth and community collaboration. Yesenia has participated in numerous leadership and fellowship programs, including UCLA Head Start Management Fellows Program, San Antonio Independent School District Leadership, the Greater San Antonio Chamber Executive Connections, Bank of America's Neighborhood Builders, and Harvard University's Center on the Development of Child Ideas Impact Framework. Outside of her work, Yesenia spends time she treasures with her family and her close friends. She also enjoys Zumba, herb gardening, and exploring holistic wellness practices that nurture both our bodies and our minds. Please give a warm welcome to Miss Yesenia Alvarez Gonzalez.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am so happy to be here with you, just sharing it. Oh my goodness, thank you for reading. It was just so lively. I was like, oh, love that. I'm so happy to see very familiar faces, Angela, everyone here, my family, friends supporting here, and everyone that I know we've seen one another at different meetings, events throughout the years. And just again, want to thank you. So my story, as you've heard a little bit about it, does start with a young immigrant family. And as they arrived here in the early 70s, I was their firstborn. And in those times, both my mother and father, they came for a dream. And that's what, when I saw dreaming, that's what it's about, a dream. And very young parents with me, they quickly learned that being in this country was going to be a challenge, but they kept their dream going. They both worked very hard to build a home for me, and then later my sister came to have a home for us. Life happens. Life happens where in my family, my father had a tragic accident and passed at a very young age. So my mother was left a very young widow at that time with 2 children. And what would she do at that time? So she turned to community to help her, to look for support. And being a single parent with 2 young children, community surrounded her and supported her. We were homeless many times, but you know what? There was always someone to help us. And as we grew up here in San Antonio, and we lived in other places as well, you know, one time I was sitting and writing down, you know, how many times have we actually moved? Believe it or not, we moved about 22 times in my early childhood. And we just reached a point as we were growing up and we teenagers hitting that phase, we wanted a stable home. And my mother, after she became a widow, she became very depressed. And I think, you know, thinking back now, that was probably part of her journey as we were moving around so much. But that made us resilient. She never left us. Everything we went through, she never left us. How she did that, I don't know. I don't know how she did that big. And then we were reported to CPS, I don't know. It just, I always say divine intervention. Someone was looking after us. But you know, as I was growing up, I learned also about resources. How my mother was so resourceful. How families, when they're challenged and they're encountering situations, what do they do? Where did they go? So I learned from my mom very early on that, you know what? We might have been on government assistance, public housing, you name it, but it was a step, just a little step to get to where we needed to go to. And, you know, I will be honest with you, fully transparent, being on government assistance was not always the best thing, especially when you would go recertify and ask for support, you were made at times to feel very little. And we were trying to wait times because my mother might have been missing a document. Maybe she forgot to take the bill of the utilities and we would have to go back and wait for hours, but she never gave up. And that's what I learned from my mom very early on, not to give up. So now fast forward, as I got my high school diploma, it wasn't easy. I did it, my sister did too. And I became a single parent at a very young age. I had learned from my mother not to give up. Life happens. And I will share with you a little bit more my connection with it. But life happens. And as I learned to stay resilient and to not give up, and now being a single parent, I realized that education was the key. But how would I get that education? I was nowhere near anyone that was a role model in my family. We're all working hard, but that had an education that had finished high school. So I turned to my high school counselor at that time. I was about to drop out and was really at a point where either I went to work to help sustain my brother, my sister, now I have a young brother, my mother, or do I stay in school? I had very good advisors. They embraced me to support me through that journey, and I was able to graduate from high school. I went on to college. Wasn't easy, but I finished. I was able to obtain my bachelor's degree, and then I found Avance. I applied as an intern support. I was interviewed, and before you knew it, I was in this journey of being with Avance San Antonio. I think, again, divine providence, something, Intervene, I ended up being in a wonderful organization. 29 years later now, I have been with Avance since I graduated from college, and I have been with Avance for 29 years now. But what does Avance do? I just think it aligned very well with my personal values and how we help families in this community. And I will share with you just a little bit of our mission here and our vision. Avance was started by a school teacher, a young school teacher in Edgewood ISD, one of the poorest school districts in San Antonio. And as she thought about Avance, she had written about it in a school paper, a graduate paper, about this model program that was being piloted out of Dallas, Texas at that time in the 70s. And that model she took and really just started thinking, what else could we do here in San Antonio to bring early education services and fill that gap where parents, where families were not feeling comfortable going into their child's school, or maybe because there wasn't that right connection or bridge at that time. So she taught for a couple of years in Edgewood and then decided to leave the education system entirely. It was always close to her heart, but she wanted to dedicate a program for the community in San Antonio. And in 1973, we established our first home out of the west side of San Antonio in the Mirasol housing projects. And this is where she grew up. She was raised by her grandparents, her grandpa, and her mom, and her 7 sisters. There were 7 sisters total in the public housing. And she always saw as she was growing up and that there was a need for family to engage, children to play outside. And at that time, when she was looking at having Avance, she went back to where she grew up at the Mirasol Public Housing. And the housing authority gave her her first little apartment unit to start Avance. And can you guess how we first started recruiting families in the public housing?
Word of mouth.
Exactly.
On the door.
Door to door. That is the best way to communicate, to share with someone face to face. And that's what we still do now. We go door to door in the communities to reach out to families to come to our program. And here's a couple of our history accolades. We've been visited by many dignitaries throughout the years. We've had Hillary Clinton. We were put in her book. We also had Barbara Bush visit with us, and then a little picture up there, our humble beginnings, also at Lincoln Housing, Mirasol Housing, and also San Juan. You name it, we've been in pretty much all the public housing properties. And there's Dr. Gloria Rodriguez there back in the day. And she's still very much involved. I stay connected with her because Avance is always going to be close to her heart. That's her baby. So just a little history of us here. And then also the next slide here too. What do? We provide a parent-child education program model. It's a 9-month parent education program with early childhood education and childcare. For families who may be looking to go back to school, families who want to go to work, or maybe they want to do both. Challenge always is the childcare. Who's going to care for my baby? Who's going to help me along this journey? For many of our families, they have started school, but they dropped out at some point in their life. Again, life happens, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. And we always tell our families when they're first coming in, we know you have a lot of dreams. Let's start by setting small goals and getting you there. So through our parenting program, we're able to establish those fundamental early learning concepts for families, with families, and then start building those strong parenting skills. We always say at Avance that the parents coming in, it's not that they're not good parents, they're excellent parents. For many of our parents, they just haven't sharpened their tools. But I will say that for many of our families, at times, they grew up on their own. They grew up out in the streets. They grew up with who they had and they loved their family, but sometimes they haven't had that full family support. And that's where we come in, to provide that support and guide them and take them along this journey, because now they have young babies of their own. So as you can see here, some of our impact. And then also, we are a large grantee of Head Start and Early Head Start. We do have federal support. So we have established centers here in San Antonio where we provide full-time early childhood education and care. and we have early childhood education teachers. Overall, our workforce is 94% female, and they all have an early childhood education degree, either a credential, associate's, or a bachelor's degree. I think we're a significantly large workforce with 350 employees. And we've grown. We used to be very small, probably about 50, and I'm looking over at my best friend and colleague was with Avance many years. We started off very, very small. So now we're also with our Head Start and Early Head Start program, year-round services for families who need support. If they want to go to school, want to go to work. But we also have families who may not be quite ready to get into a center-based option with their babies. And that's an option we have is called home-based. Because we do realize some families may not be ready to get there yet. They might be encountering some very harsh challenges in their family at this point, and we understand. So we will prepare them and get them ready with early childhood skills at home, take them activities in the home, do socialization activities, and then we get them ready to transition into the center-based option of our Head Start program. So there's a little bit about us here too. I do want to share also that Avance is not only here in San Antonio, we have been able to expand our reach to Uvalde. We have 5 rural county areas that we cover. We go from Sabinal to Uvalde to Rock Springs, Batesville, Temple, La Pryor, and moving into Lakey here pretty soon. So these are now we call them rural remote areas where families live. There's young children there, but they are spaces where you may be driving down the road and your cell phone, we all have cell phones, it goes out, you have no connection. So that's a challenge for our families. They cannot connect at times, so that's also areas where we're at as well with our Head Start program. So wanted to share that too. Avance to College is our newest program where we have moms and dads enrolled in our programs where now they're able to go onto a college campus and have parenting education, but also do the educational piece as well with their children. So this is our first model. This year, we're piloting this off at Alamo Colleges, San Antonio Colleges, and I know that we have Palo Alto interested, and then some of our other community colleges that are local ones that are interested in having Avance to College. We have partnered with the Empowerment Center at San Antonio College, and we're looking forward to expand that into our other Alamo Colleges campuses. So this is just, again, some of the data that's coming out of the Avance College from what we're seeing right now. So it's a great impact to share. And then we also have our Caminos al Futuro. So as our parents are going through parenting education, and we also have grandparents, moms, dads that are caring for children in the home, they're going through parenting, and then at the end of the 9 months in September, they graduate. So as they're graduating from parenting education classes, they're eager now to continue, and what's next? Where do I go? I don't have my high school diploma, or I started college and I want to continue. Where else do I go? So they're motivated, they're eager to continue. So then we refer them to our Avance Caminos al Futuro, our pathways to the future. This is now where the work begins, where our parents can obtain their high school diploma, go on to training, to certification, pathways. They can also become early child development teachers with us in our own classrooms. And that's actually what we look forward to, because 42% of our employees are graduates of our programs, and that's how we've been able to also build up the workforce. So this is our Caminos al Futuro program that we offer, not just the parenting, but it goes hand in hand. And this is the last piece of this presentation. What I wanted to share with you here is Revelations. So where do we want to go? What have we been working on? Where are we eager to connect? One of our expansion opportunities has been with San Antonio ISD. This year we are in 2 elementary schools. We're at Highland Hills Elementary in Mission Academy, Southeast, and we're looking forward to expanding onto our east side quadrant over as well. There's a couple of elementary schools that we are looking at and observing to be a part of that our community there. We're also looking at expanding more into our rural communities, but also in the west, continue west and south. But that's kind of what we're at right now. So I always say if there's an opportunity to connect with someone today, in the next few days, let us know. We are great partners. We have over 40 partners that we enjoy having a partnership but there's always room for more, right? But yes, this is what we do, and I'm looking forward to being here the next 50 years, so. Not me.
As an educator in our District 2 area, it's stories like yours of resilience that is so important. And that's what I really hope that I can live to see my students share stories like this of resilience and educators that poured into them and services that were available for them. So thank you so much, Yesenia, for the work you do. Does anyone have any questions for Yesenia? We are open to questions, or anyone have any questions? All right, we have a question in the back.
Oh, I can just yell. Yesenia, Katrina with the Brighton Center. I'm curious how much you have to fundraise from the community to help support this great work.
That is a great question. So annually, we do raise, actually, I have Alicia. That's my job. The full details overall, for our foundation programs, parent child, Camino Pathways to the Future. We raise over
$1 million.
1.2?
Yeah.
1.2, because we do have operating center standalones in addition to our partnership with SAISD on campuses where we're at. So 1.2 a year. Alicia, where else can we go and find funding? Yeah, it's 1.2, fully transparent, 1.2. And I will tell you that the San Antonio community has embraced us over the years. And here lately, it's having Alicia, it's been amazing. Just the doors that have opened for us and continue to open. As you know, with the federal funding, it's on the back of my mind now. It's in the back of my mind right now because we'll hear more over the weekend if there's going to be a government shutdown. That impacts us because, as you heard, we have federal programs. And if government shuts down, we have no communication with our federal regional agents that we work with. We pretty much get emails that say, I'm out of the office and we'll contact you when we get back, if we get back. So it's looming, I'm thinking about it. Because what happens then is that we cannot draw down funds, so we would need to go to reserves. But I will tell you, there's been time, we have gone out to the community when we had the SNAP benefit situation happen in November. Many of our families had their SNAP benefits frozen and they had no access to food. Thank goodness we have our San Antonio Food Bank, our local pantries, food pantries in the community. That helped out tremendously. You reached out to HEB. And they came to the table and said, how much do you need? How can we support you? And they gave us a generous amount of gift cards. So it's the community, everyone here that has embraced us, our families. We don't do this for ourselves, right? It's for our community, for our families who we serve, the children who we love and care for. And that's just a little bit of what we're kind of so. No government shutdown, hopefully. I don't know. We're gonna be okay. We stay on mission.
Right.
We stay on mission, and we're gonna be okay. We'll get through it.
You definitely have a rock star on your team. Yes, you do. All right. Our next speaker is with Brighton Center, okay? Katrina Campbell. She is the CEO of Brighton Center, a nonprofit organization that focuses on pediatric intervention and education for children with disabilities or any developmental delays, and as well their families. Brighton is one of the largest nonprofits in San Antonio, and it not only in revenue size, about 22 million, but in children served, about 4,000 plus children and about 80,000 services. And they are continuing to grow and they evolve to meet all the community's needs. Katrina values progress towards achieving the mission, not perfection. Under her leadership, extreme value is placed on the constant pursuit of better ways to serve our children and their families. Alongside her executive team and 200 plus staff members that work at Brighton, they approach every situation as a team that embodies accountability and integrity in all that they do. Brighton has been a top finalist in the large category for Best Places to Work from the nonprofit Times and as well as San Antonio Business Journal every year under their leadership as CEO since 2021. Katrina has been at Brighton Center since about 2011 and began as the organization's Chief Development Officer, where she increased fundraising revenue by more than 50% and played a pivotal role as well in scaling the organization to the size it is today. Mrs. Campbell holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in molecular biology, a nonprofit management certificate, and she is certified fundraising executive. She was named as a recipient of the San Antonio Business Journal for Top 40 Under 40 in 2017. With more than 15 years serving in the nonprofit field, Ms. Campbell has developed deep connections with nonprofit leaders as well as philanthropic community. She serves on the Believing for Briley Board of Directors, a 501c3 nonprofit committed to supporting families who have children with, oh my goodness, leukodystrophy.
Leukodystrophy.
Oh my goodness, okay.
It's rare, so.
Leukodystrophy, I'm so sorry, and is a proud member of Women United. She's a group, which is a group of United Way Bexar County. In addition to her many professional roles, Ms. Katrina Campbell is married, she has a son and a daughter, and she loves to coach their basketball teams and take them on adventures in her free time. She's a busy woman, and we're so proud to have her here tonight. You guys give a warm, please give a warm welcome.
I just want to put Kim in my pocket so she can tell me about all these wonderful things about me. Virgo. I'll sit right there. Can I just talk to you guys? Is that okay? It's pretty small. I'll just talk.
Sorry.
Thanks for that. That was brutal to listen to all of those things. I did not write that, and I don't know who did, so I don't know how I feel about it. But I am honored to be here, and I am honored to represent the Brighton Center. Is anybody in the room familiar with the Brighton organization? A little bit? Okay, great. We serve about 4,000 children every year. What we do though, and when I think about this name of the speakers series, Dream Week, it really makes me think about what we do for families. And if you've had children before, whether you acknowledge it or not, you have dreams for them, right? Before they're born, after they're born, during their life, we have dreams for them. When we encounter parents, they often are met with a child that they weren't expecting, right? They're expecting a child, but now I've been thrown into this world of they're not walking, they're not talking, they may have autism, they were born with Down syndrome, the gamut. And all of a sudden those dreams change. You don't know what they might look like now. And some people might say they feel like they kind of die for a moment, and there's a grieving period, because everything I thought my child was gonna do or be, whether they were ever gonna be that or not, has died. Because now I'm met with this challenge of, I have been dropped off in a place that I don't have a roadmap, I feel like I don't have a tour guide, and I am grieving. What Brighton gets to do is meet parents at some of the most vulnerable points in their life. Nobody loves anything more than their children. They want to make sure that they can be safe, successful, but more importantly, accepted for who God made them to be. In Brighton, we provide pediatric therapy, and I'll talk about that more later. We provide some inclusive preschools and some special education services, but we do all that in such a way where parents start to realize that maybe their dreams look a little bit different, but I can still dream for my children, and my children can dream for who they want to be. And so we get to walk alongside parents through our intervention process and show them what they can do, not what they can't, and how parents are a part of this journey. And so we provide right? Denial, that happens a lot, and that's fair, because we've been watching our child where they just, and then it depends on who you talk to, like, oh, my baby didn't walk till they were 2.5, they'll outgrow it. So we walk into a home that might have a lot of different kind of misconceptions going on. We also walk into a lot of homes that Yesenia was talking about that are dealing with a lot of other things. Having a child with a disability is just one of them. I don't know how I'm gonna put food on the table. I just lost my job. I certainly can't afford childcare to go work. And now you're telling me my baby might need speech, occupational, physical therapy multiple times a week. We get a lot of parents that say, just no. So we have to talk to them and tell them about how important it is to do this work, what it looks like for us coming into their home, and how we become a part of their family unit. We serve children 0 to 3 primarily. I don't know if you knew this, but 95% of brain development happens before the age of 5. So if you were born with a delay or a disability, the most critical point in your education, your social emotional development is before you enter kindergarten. So if we can get in there and we can show you the strategies, we can work with your baby, they may not need as many supports later on or any supports. We want to get them as kinder ready as possible. I don't know if you knew this stat, I'm sure Yesenia does. Children who enter kindergarten socially and emotionally ready are 4 times more likely to graduate high school. Kindergarten is it, you guys. We have got to get these kiddos, we got to get these parents on track. And a piece of getting parents on track is if I have a child who might need special need accommodations at school, do you know how to do that once they get to kindergarten? Do you know what to ask for from the administration? Do you know how to hold a meeting with the teachers and the principals and the special education director? I mean, do you? I certainly do not. And so you go into these meetings, and I'm going to introduce a parent in a little bit who's going to talk all about that, where you're sort of expecting the school to tell you everything you need to know and say, don't worry, mom and dad, I got you, just like Brighton had me from 0 to 3. It's a very different experience. They're dealing with limited resources, they're dealing with hundreds of children, they're not as laser focused on their child, so the parents have to learn how to be that advocate. So we teach parents how to do that. We go to the school meetings with them and say, our job is to make sure your child gets paid. One of the other programs we offer is an inclusive preschool setting for kids with and without disabilities to grow and learn together. Getting ready for kindergarten is not just about getting the therapies that you need, it's about learning how to transition well. How do I transition from the playground back to the classroom, from lunchtime to the classroom? How do I learn to maybe sit still? How do I learn my basic colors and ABCs if I can? What does that look like? Probably the most important thing we teach kids is how just to be together. Kids learn from other kids. If I take children who might have a speech delay or mobile disability and I put them in a room with a bunch of kids that also have a speech delay or mobile disability, what kind of progress do you bring? Not much. If I put them in an environment where there's diverse learners and I'm seeing my BFF Javier over there, and I got a story about Javier, I just wanna play with Javier, so now I'm gonna figure out how to walk over there and communicate with Javier. So we created an inclusive environment where kids are growing and learning together. One of my favorite stories is both of my children were typically developing, but they went to the Brighton Center for Preschool. And my daughter was 4 years old at the time, and she would always talk about Javier. Javier is so fun to play kitchen with. And I'm like, well, I've been in the kitchen, tell me more, please. Tell me more about this Javier. And I would always pick her up. I was the last mom to pick her up, so don't judge me. I worked across the hall and I was still laughing. And I would be like, where's Javier? You know? Where is he? And we always miss him at pickup. Well, one day I walk in and she's like, Mommy, Javier's here. And she points over and she's like, wait, no, he moved. And she points over to a wheelchair. And I was like, well, what? And then she points over there and Javier is like scooting on the ground to play with other friends. She never once mentioned that Javier couldn't walk. Never once. All she saw was Javier was a blast to play pretend with in the kitchen. And so while we're creating an environment for children with special needs to learn and grow from typically developing, we're teaching kids like my daughter, like Kason, to not see it. They see them for who they are, they see them for what fun and joy they bring to whatever situation they're in, and I love that part about Brighton. And we want parents to also see that part about what their children can do. Because it's not just how they can grow and develop to just be like other kids. It's what they can do for our community, to show our community what they can offer to the team. The gentleman I want to introduce you to is a parent of Brighton who has been through the gamut of all of our services and has a beautiful story about a beautiful boy named Noah. Have you ever seen a deer? He looks like a model. He looks like a model. And I could talk about Brighton and my own stories, but I think it's so much more impactful when you hear a parent's journey and how, where they started and where they feel like they are today. Mark is currently a board member, because I'm also really good at being like, you are amazing. You come serve on our board. And he, Mark is an extremely busy executive at Zachary Group. And he commits to this organization because he's seen firsthand, and I hope he tells you that, what Brighton has done for him and his family and his son. And so I'm so honored to introduce Mark Salinas to tell you his story about Brighton and his beautiful boy. I just say there's a full 9-minute video about Mark, so you'll leave if you stand up.
Yeah, so hi everybody, I'm Mark Salinas, good evening, yeah, so I'm here to tell you about Noah's story and also to share about why Brighton Center means so much to me and my family. So my son Noah, he's a really smart, remarkable kid. He's got a big heart. In a lot of ways, he's like most 5 or 6-year-old little boys. He loves to wrestle with me. He loves playing with Legos. He is obsessed with dinosaurs. So our journey started with Brighton when Noah was around 12 months old. So we took my wife and I took Noah to his 1-year annual checkup. And at that time, at a year old, he wasn't making any sounds. He was like completely mute. He could go days without making a sound. And so when we took him to see the pediatrician, they strongly recommended that we start speech therapy immediately. And so we did that. We got a referral for Brighton Center, and actually this was during the pandemic, and we actually called like 5 different agencies, clinics, and Brighton Center was the only one, just by chance, they were the only one that could take us on, and so we started immediately. And so it was during the pandemic, and they were coming into our home at that time. And so the therapists they showed up, and they're wearing masks, and they're here to see Noah, and Noah's looking at this mask, trying to get him to talk, right? And so we started speech therapy, and we were doing twice a week home visits. And within like 2 or 3 months, it became pretty apparent that Noah wasn't taking to like the typical speech therapy strategies. And so the therapist called us one day and she said, hey, Mr. Salinas, could we just talk today? And we're not gonna see Noah, I just wanna talk. And so she comes in to our house and with another therapist, and they sit in our living room. And I'll never forget the lady says, she sits there in my living room and she says, Mrs. Salinas, please don't run me out of your house. That was the first thing she said. Please don't run me out of your house, but your son is showing all of the hallmark signs of autism spectrum disorder. And we really think that y'all should get him evaluated. And so my wife and I we were stunned, because so at that time I had heard the word autism, but I didn't know what it was or what that meant at all. And neither did my wife. But at the same time, so we were shocked, but at the same time, we didn't talk about it much, but we knew that Noah was different from other kids. Since he was a baby, he was a lot more interested in objects than people. it was really hard to get his attention. We were like begging for him to look at us. And as a baby, I mean, he was like obsessed with grabbing things and twirling them and looking at them at different angles, and he was lining everything up and sorting things by color and shape. And he also had this like really extraordinary ability for memory and like recalling patterns and putting puzzles together, even as a baby. And so, like an example of that is, so the first time we ever showed him the alphabet, he was a baby, he was barely crawling. And we showed him the alphabet, my wife and I were sitting in our living room floor, and we had these wooden letters, and we were sitting there and we put them in order from A to Z, and then we sing the alphabet song. And we didn't think much of it, and we jumble the letters over, put them in a pile, and move them over to the side, and grab another toy, and immediately Noah crawls over to the pile, and like within 15 seconds or so, I mean, he put the alphabet back in order after seeing it for the first time. And that's just, I mean, he's always done like really extraordinary things like that. But then at the same time, he's always struggled to do very basic things. That basic things that come natural to most people, like, I'll give you an example. So right now he's 5 years old, he'll be 6 in April. He can read perfectly, he can read anything. If we read books together, he can pronounce 25-letter dinosaurs that you would have to look at it like the So he can pronounce like all these big words, but then on the other side, he struggles to tell us that he needs water or something's bothering him, or he's hungry and things like that. So, yeah. So while we were stunned, we were kind of sitting there like, okay, I think this kind of makes sense, and we didn't run those two nice ladies out of our house. We were really grateful for their advocacy for, you know, and having the courage to bring up to us the fact that they thought that Noah needed more services, because I think that's pretty hard, and it sounded like they had really been run out of people's homes. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, so we were like, okay, let's do this. I mean, we want the best for Noah. So it was a process to get him evaluated, but we ended up seeing a developmental pediatrician here in town, and he was diagnosed at 23 months with autism spectrum disorder and sensory processing disorder at 23 months. And that process took a while to get him in and diagnosed and all those things, but that diagnosis kind of opened up a lot of doors, and that label they could now use to really help Noah. And that whole process before the diagnosis and after the diagnosis was really overwhelming for my wife and I. But the therapists in the early childhood intervention program, they really helped us through that process and understanding what all this meant, and they helped us with strategies. They taught us a lot about Noah and how to help him. And he made a lot of progress in, like, even in the first year, them helping us. He, not so much in speech, but he did make a ton of progress with occupational therapy, because kind of I don't have hours up here to explain all this, but basically, like, he had a lot of sensory needs that needed to be met before we could even address the speech stuff. So we ended up getting a lot of that under control first, and that was just, it was really a good way to start kind of that therapy process. But still to this day, I think that the most important thing that those therapists did very early on was be the leaders that we needed. They were always like super positive, and they were never, like, it was never about what Noah couldn't do.
Right.
It was always about, like, what abilities does he have, and how do we leverage those to, like, push the limits of what's possible. That's what it was always about. And those early therapists that we had, they kind of set the tone for my family and what we would think for Noah and kind of like how we would react and kind of see Noah going out in the world. So anyway, we made a ton of progress, and then from like that program, we ended up enrolling Noah in Brighton Center's preschool, which is an inclusive preschool. And that's really awesome for Noah because Noah processes the world different. He needs therapy, he needs support. And so at the preschool, Noah was able to get his speech therapist and his occupational therapist were there on site. And so they could take him out of the classroom and have like their one-on-one visits. They would see him in the classroom and they really helped the teachers come up with like different strategies on how to get him included in activities, and they would even help the teachers with the curriculum and like, oh, maybe we tweak this lesson a little bit like this so that, you know, Noah or his buddy, you know, could be included or whatever. And so that was really cool to see that he ended up spending 3 years there at the preschool. And when he first started, when he was about 2 years old, I remember we drop him off and the teachers were like, they would struggle to get his attention. I mean, he was like in his own world. He didn't want to know nothing about what you're talking to him about. He would just find something interesting, and that was his thing. He was like, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna play with this for an hour. Don't talk to me. And so he went from like being that super shy kid that's like in his own world to like fast forward 3 years later, like I go to pick him up and I'm walking up to the door and I can hear a bunch of commotion inside. I open the door and he's there like pretending to be a dinosaur, yeah, or like doing frog jumps. The teachers are laughing, the kids are laughing. So it was really cool. Like they not only helped him do things like, you know, like helped him with his coordination and motor skills, right, and things like being able to use scissors, but they also helped him like come out of his shell. And it was really cool to see him like grow and feel super comfortable in that inclusive environment. Yeah, so we're just like super proud of the progress he made there, and we're super proud of all the hard work that the teachers and therapists put into Noah and his time there. So like right around the time he was like maybe a few months before he was going to age out of that program and he was going to need to start kinder in public school, we were like, oh great, now like we've been under Brighton's wing for over 3 years now. We have to get into the public school system. What does that mean? And so we reached out to the special education consultants at Brighton Center, and they were able to teach. I mean, we're not experts, but they really not just held our hand, but they really like taught us what we needed to know and said like, hey, like I'm happy to go to the meeting and represent Noah and fight for Noah, but I'm gonna teach you to be able to do that. And so that's what they really did, and it worked because like I mean we had several meetings. We've had several meetings within the last like 12 months, and now my wife and I are the ones where like, no, we need this and we need that. The ones and now our advocate is like, hold on, calm down. He even tells us he always tells us like you need to build a relationship with them. Yeah, don't be arguing with these people. So he walked us through the process of getting our Noah's IEP in place. So his sounds like a lot of y'all know that. So Noah's got his IEP in place. He's got all the supports and accommodations and all those things. Yeah. So we felt really good. Well, I felt really good going into public school. My wife was like super worried. She's like, he's been in the same school for 3 years, the same people. I don't know how this is gonna go. And it was keeping her up at night for months. Just for that first day of school. I was good. I was like, no, we got the stuff. Like, I think we're good. And I was good until the Brighton Center preschool graduation. So it's a nice ceremony. It was very well done. It's probably like a lot of kinder ready or pre-K kindergarten graduation ceremonies. Except they played this video. And they played this video where they're asking the kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so it was really well done, the video. But, and you'll hear my butt here in a sec. But, so they're going through, and it's a standard answers, right? The kids want to be a fireman, a policeman. I think one little girl even said she wanted to be her mommy. So, yeah, so as I'm hearing the kids like say what they want to be when they grow up, it starts to dawn on me that when it gets to Noah, that he's not gonna speak the words. And so, just give me a second. So as I hear like the kids keep saying what they want to be when they grow up, I start to get like more and more emotional. And Noah's like, last name Selena, so he's at the end. And so you can imagine there's like 50 kids or something. So I'm getting more and more emotional, and they get to Noah and they say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's silence. And you can see him, he's staring off. We can't tell what he's looking at. Katrina knows. She's seen the video. So you can't tell what he's looking at, and then what feels like forever. I mean, watch the video back. What feels like forever, finally you hear, so he's got an AAC device, which is it's an iPad with an app that helps him communicate. And finally, after like 20 seconds or something, the iPad, he presses a button and it says, when I grow up, I want to be a paleontologist.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that moment was pretty hard for me. I think I took it a lot harder than my wife did. It was really hard for me. So you have to understand that, so being a parent of a child with special needs, for me, it is by far the most rewarding thing I've ever done. But by far, like, I grew up, I mean, the toughest of the tough, like, I come from nothing. And today I have, for me, what I think, and I'm a pretty smart guy, I think my job is very different. But being Noah's dad is by far the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. And lost my train of thought. Sorry, it's like I didn't plan on getting like super emotional. Yeah, it's just it's very hard, and like our family, we have not just Noah, but like us, like we all have our good days and bad days. And it's like on the good days where like Noah's out there crushing it, he's learning some new skill, he has a good day at school. He's at home and he says, I want water, he actually speaks the words. That's not every day, but when those things happen, like we can't help but like dream that, like knowing how smart he is and the abilities he does have, we can't help but dream, oh man, like this, I think this kid could be like brilliant doctor or engineer someday, like pushing the limits of science and technology. But it's on the bad days, like when he's struggling to communicate, to connect with his environment, or not necessarily like he's struggling, it's just in a moment like in that graduation where, and by the way, the graduation video, we really appreciated that the folks at Brighton Center, they came up with a way for him to be included. That meant the world to us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it highlights like how different Noah is. And like that kind of stuff, it's really hard. It is really hard for me. But we just have to like continue to remember that positivity that I talked about, that those therapists in the ECI program like helped us with, like set the tone. So we just remember that positivity and like that idea that Noah can always do more and that he's limitless. Yes. And so I'm not done. I'm not done. And so this kind of leads me to the reason why we chose Brighton, why we continue to choose Brighton, why I'm on the board, which really that only means that I'm like a cheerleader for Brighton. I can't take credit for all the work that they do. But the reason that we choose Brighton, like yes, they have the expertise. I mean, these people, they are not only educated and very well trained, but they care very deeply. And they have an intangible, and that intangible is love. And that's why we choose it. Because for my wife and I, above all things that we want for Noah, is that we want him to be loved. And we believe that it's through love that he opens his world up a little bit more every day to the rest of us, and that's a good thing because Noah has a lot to learn from the world, but the world has a lot to learn from Noah. So, so speaking of revelations or just, on the topic of things that I've learned while on this journey. So the most important thing that I've learned while on this journey is that success is incredibly important, but even more important than success is making new. It's knowing that you haven't lived your life in vain. It's knowing that because you've been here, that you've blessed lives, that you've developed people, and that you've made the world a better place.
There we go. I was asking, yeah, okay, I was gonna have a question. Thank you so much for sharing Noah's story. And as an educator myself, families like you that really support your child and are able to help our teachers to better connect and build those relationships, it's so important. And the IEP, the Individual Education Plan, is something that we definitely use to order to make them even more successful in the classroom. So is there any questions for our panel from Brighton? So I have a question. Okay, so the age, when do they only go to, do you then refer to as they get older and now like, do you follow the children along in their path as in going to even teen years and adulthood? How does those relationships?
Great question. So I mentioned this earlier, our focus is really that most critical time in their brain development. So 0 to 5 is really our focus, but we do support children getting into the public education system and making sure that they take advantage of those resources. And then we will refer out to agencies that support children. But we do walk. We provide special education support through their education.
All right, another warm welcome. Another warm thank you. Thank you guys so much.
Yes. I'm gonna take it.
And a beautiful family, beautiful.
All right, there we go. Thank you. Thank you again for sharing Noah's story and all that Brighton Center does. All right, our last speaker in our Dream Hour speaker series is
Reaching through. We're just gonna give up on this thing. I think I speak loud enough too. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Dr. Caprica L. Wells. She is an educator, author, and a leadership coach who believes healing is essential to sustainable leadership. She serves as the executive director of adult and community education, and she founded Reaching Through. It's a platform devoted to authenticity, growth, purpose-driven leadership. She is the author of Another Face of Trauma, Removing the Mask of Overachieving. Let's have a warm welcome to Ms. Dr. Caprica Wells.
Yes. Well, thank y'all for coming. I'm so excited for all of my different families. I am a rule follower, so they said 20 minutes, question and answer and all of that good stuff. So I'm gonna try to stick to that, right?
No.
But I also want you to know this. A lot of people in the room have really talked about early childhood and what that means and what that looks like. But I also want to talk about the other part. I love 16 to 24-year-olds and adults. And so while there's so much out there for the youngins, what about those that are, and I've been in high school forever, I'm never gonna graduate. But what about when you don't get those services when you're small? And so some of you, I gave a mask when you came in. And so I want to ask you a question. If I were to ask you to hold that mask up until I get to my first revelation point, how many of you, and I don't want you to, don't put your arm under here. See, it was automatic, it was automatic. Don't put your arm under here, we're gonna do an experiment, okay? We're gonna do an experiment, and I want you to hold up that mask. I want you to take a look at this, keep holding, until I say revelation number 1. That is the time where you can take your mask down, okay? So take a look at this cup, okay? How would you describe this cup? Half full. Positivity, right? Positivity is half full. I see the world as opportunity. What else? Clear. Clear. Okay, clear.
Pure.
Okay. Pure. I like that. Pure.
Room for more.
Room for more.
For more. Okay, room for more. What else? Huh? It's being held
Yeah, supported.
and supported. Okay? What else? Huh? Because it's weak, explain. The cup is weak because it's plastic.
Refreshing.
Refreshing. Yes, yes. What else?
Healthy.
Healthy. Some might say hydration. And so potential. What else do you have?
Foundation.
Hmm?
Foundation.
Foundation.
Life needs, every life needs water.
Every life needs
Animals,
water.
plants.
Okay.
You're right.
What else do you have?
It's a conduit.
Ooh, it's a conduit. Well, look at that. Okay. What about the hands that are holding the mask without support? Because some of us are cheating, but without the support. But without the support. Reaching Through was founded for that 16 to 24-year-old. But if I must be honest, I found it for me. Because what I found was, as you get this cup in your hand, and as you discover all the things, your possibilities, I'm clear, I'm a conduit. Well, I like that. I hydrate you. Yes, I do. All of those grander things. But what I found out is a lot of times we walk around like this, and I so want to put this down, but I'm trying to be a perfect example for the people with the mask. But a lot of times what you don't realize is the trauma of the mask of overachievement. And while this seems like it should be so easy to hold, and that it should be so clear and pure and hydrating and all of those wonderful things, when you think about our 16-year-olds, and if you've had, I have adult children now, I'm a proud consultant too, because I no longer am able to manage them and tell them what to do. And I consult with them now. But the conversations are beginning to be a little different. I was that parent that says, I want to raise children that never have to go to counseling. Maybe I'll try with the grandkids. When you see these adult people, because you see these big 6'5" big people walking through these hallways, and you're like, act right, be good, be better, you should know better. But what do they have for support? and you told them this was clear, there's potential, you shouldn't need all of that support, what are you doing? Why are you asking these questions? You should know better. But if I didn't go to Avance, if I didn't have Brighton in my life and have someone to hold, because see, with me, as a single parent, and because I struggle to tell my story, because it is so attached, of course, to my single mom's story. And I never want her to be the fall guy, but she had schizophrenia. And I am an only child from her. So I have been paying bills since I was in 6th grade with the real food stamps. The one that you rip out your book and pay. But listen, with that booklet, everybody and it was to the point where mom would say things like, hey, this is only for food. But that includes soda. Because you're not spending this cash on that drink. You better only use this food stamp book. Because cash was such a really precious commodity. And so I want you to think about those teenagers, how your hands feeling. Oh, somebody's been in the gym. She's like, oh, this is fine. Other people are like, not so much. That is me, because I so want to put this down. But I created Reaching Through because how do we now reach through to that person who said that this was easy to hold? How do we reach out to that person who we said this was pure? Why are you sabotaging it with your little bad attitude and start saying another word, funky? I wasn't saying. Why are you doing all of this? When nobody really looked under the cover to see, I wasn't just an angry Black girl. I have food at home, my stomach was hurting. So guess what, today I don't feel like putting on the mask. I want you to know that I don't like you today, because I don't even like me today. I don't like what I know that I'm gonna go home to. I wanna sometimes remove this mask. But no, because in the back of my head, grandmother told me, do not tell them you're hungry. They will take you away and you will have to come live with me. You? Oh, no, I'm not doing that. No, I gotta put clothes out on the line outside, pick green peas and shuck them in there and all of that stuff. I gotta go out and pick up a chicken and wring it by the neck and blood gushes out, all the things, you know? Listen, I promote insecticide, pesticide, Tracy, told you. I promote all of the non-organic stuff. I can't stand the smell of an original chicken. Give me some pesticide, pump it up with steroids or something. Because I remember being out in that farm. Y'all, you put that chicken in that hot water and you pluck those, it's a different smell. And so give me the pesticide. I got some chicken legs, because they gotta be big. But anyway, so it's a thing. Because those are the things we grew up with, and you don't know how that impacts you and how that informs you later. I called my aunt the first time and I'm like, Auntie, guess what? I was my first teaching job. And she's like, what happened? I said, I got a washer and dryer in my house. Because we never had that. And she thought something was absolutely wrong. And then I called her, I was like, guess what? Because my mom has schizophrenia. My mom was like in and out sometimes. And she would just be like, well, just leave and come stay with me. We can both get Social Security. I was like, no, I don't think that's right. I'm a teacher now, right? But she said, okay, well, listen, this is what I need you to do. I need you to make sure that you understand that you don't have to hold this cup. How many of us, even C-suite executive leaders, how many of us are still wearing this mask? It shows up in overproductivity. It shows up in burnout. It shows up in, I'll fix it, I'll do it, okay, I'm right there, all right, let me just, hold on, just a minute, because I can't put this mask down. I wanna make sure you see what you're supposed to see and not what's really going on. Don't peek under this cover, I will let you know. And you see the masks that you have, not only are they wrapped, you can unwrap them whenever you want to, and the only, the guys that are wearing them, I love it. The only time that you get to expose it is when I expose it. So now you have these 16-year-olds, 6'5" guys, football players, running around going, oh, I'm tough, I got this. And then you wonder why they commit suicide. You wonder why this is happening. And so I want to talk about, how do you remove the mask? When are we gonna make it okay to not be okay? And some of the strongest leaders say it all the time. But are you practicing it? I'll tell you a story, I didn't. My mom passed away. I'm trying to hold it up. I'm trying, because y'all are, whew. And when she passed away, I was coming from an event that I did not want to go to, but I felt obligated. And I go up the stairs and I hear this screeching sound. Mom! What is going on? It was my daughter, and she was screaming. And she goes, Grandma! And I go up, and there's my mom in the middle of taking her last breath. And for 15 minutes, I tried to do CPR, because I can fix this. I've been taught how to fix this. Not, and then everything in me was like, okay, I went into this moment of, not grief. I went into this moment of, okay, should I be the educator who knows CPR? Okay, no, that ain't working. Okay, I'm gonna turn into the elder. I was ordained for this. What's the scripture? Like, give me a word, Jesus, come on. Nothing. All right, I've been in leadership development. I've done all these things. Like, can I pull from somewhere? And I'm doing the resuscitation. And I'm the coach in me, like, come on, 1,000, 2, 1,000. And the person on the phone is going, you're going too slow. What? This is an easy cup to hold. I've been taking care of her for the last 4 years. She only has, COPD, but she's been making it. Yes, they put her on hospice, but that means nothing. I'm gonna stay busy. Let me go to work. Let me forget about this, and let me do all of that. But now's the time to fix it. And you know what? I'm gonna show my daughter how tough and strong she can be. And I'm just sitting there. Nothing is happening. She's still warm though. Like, I got this. Come on, we got this. And I pull her off the bed. Because they're like, oh, it's because you don't have her on the floor. It's like, okay, well, there's another fix. Still got on my mask. I'm still Superwoman in this moment. I have not turned into a grieving daughter yet. And so I get her, and she doesn't make it. And it's so funny, the dichotomy of life. I was just at this event that was in a high rise. I got a picture of us. The window is there. It's beautiful. And the next picture is my son lying on his dead grandmother. And so you think about just that trauma, but go back to all the things that impact people and how they show up. So reaching through is about reaching through all of that stuff, whether it's through professional development, whether it's through, not a shameless plug, my book, but whether it's through that. You get to say, when can I put this down? I love the fact that it's pure, that it's hydrated, that it's this. But can I use that for me? Yes. When can I use all of that for me? And so many times we're walking around looking at these young adults. We're looking at even ourselves, your spouse, your children, and we're having these great expectations. My favorite words that I my student athletes now tell me as a coach, and I would use this, and I would say, no excuses, just results. Let's go. No excuses, just results. Personal children, no excuses, just results. Hey, work team, no excuses, just, no, I didn't say anything. No excuses, just results. But now I say, how are you? What is the crush that I need to remove in order for you to go? And so Reaching Through does that. Reaching Through wants to, and this is something that I call the invisible community. Because nobody's gonna stand up right now and go, you know what, I'm not okay. I run this big corporate organization, I do this. You're not going to see that. So Reaching Through is a behind the scenes, getting to know people, doing these side things. We have big conferences, and I say big, there were 20 people at St. Mary's University. And what we did was we took them through trauma-informed sessions. And these were C-suite women who you would probably know some of their names if I said them out loud. But we create safe spaces for people to do that, because in the school system, I saw overachievers like me that was like, do not look under this cover. Do not see the fact that I'm hurting. Do not see that I am leading and bleeding at the same time. And I'm so used to giving Band-Aids and getting them. I would be okay with that Band-Aid. Oh no, you don't have to give surgery on me, I'm good. No, I'm good. And then you now have a mirror of these adult children that say things like, Mom, you weren't there during coaching. You weren't there when you got your doctorate. You weren't there now. I'm like, oh my God. They are gonna be counselors. No. But so this is the stuff that Reaching Through wants to do, is to provide those safe spaces. So I encourage you that even if you are not able to take off your mask in certain arenas, because we all need it. We all need masks, because you need to make sure that it's beautiful and authentic and transparent. And you say, I'm a strong leader. Man, last night, that was good. I mean, it hit me when my daughter said, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, can I get on the schedule? She's so much like her mom, right? I'm like, we want her to be an advocate, to have this voice and, all of that, but don't those words that I say against me. How dare you? Right? And she was like, well, I'm just your mini me, not an excuse. That was cute when you were little. Right? Isn't it cute in this body right here trying to tell me what to do? Right? And oh, sorry. And so there are these moments when you say, okay, you know what? I've got to reach through. So Mom passed away, and I closed that casket, and I said I was always the one that take care of her. So at the end, I'm going to be the last one that does this for her. So I, not the people, and they were my witness, not the people that were saying, no, I will close this. I've always clothed her in her last days. I will do all of this. And I closed the casket. Something changed. The mask was like, I was like, and I said, oh, this is it? Oh, wait a minute. This is it? Oh, 60, Ruth, she got at 66. I said, oh no. I'm gonna live every breath that she can't take. I'm gonna remove this mask and live transparently, fluidly, do all the things. So much so that I got in a plane and went to Dubai by myself. It was the most exhilarating, scariest thing I've ever done in my life. I didn't know them, they didn't know me, it's just me by myself, like, what am I doing? I'm sitting there like, I'm here. Guess we better go and do something. But those are the things, but here's the thing. That was just another mask. See how you all were like, yes, girl power, you do it, girl. All right. Went to my aunt's in California, gave her all of these things about my mom, and it's like, you couldn't come to the funeral, so I'm here. Facebooks, I'm here with my aunt and all the things, and I was just going, and then I turned 50 and Caprica is my first name, so I'm going to Capri for my 50th, and I'm going there, and I'm like, y'all, so did it, you know, by myself, solo. Came back, grief was sitting on my bed. What are you doing here? Done all the things. You know, I said self-care. I did deuces to everybody and everything. Why are you still here? You know? And so within the last 2 years, I've really sat still. I just had my 51st birthday. Everybody was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm gonna sit in my bed. I'm going to sit in my bed and I'm gonna remove all of the masks. Because I am an authentic person, I live transparently, genuinely, and I want that energy to come back to me. And so that is what I wanna put out in the world. And I wanna say, I do not have to live with the mask. And so even now, yes, I've written the book, Another Face of Trauma, Removing the Mask of Overachievement, but I just finished the book, Beyond the Mask. Because I think that is the most important thing. So how do we get our 16-year-olds to learn that now before they have to see their mom in the casket? When are you going to figure that out before your children are like, in these last 2 years, and I was even telling my spiritual mother that I feel so connected to my kids, even though they get on my last nerves and they need to hurry and get out and we just had a lunch plan. I feel so connected to them in a different way because I see, because of their experiences that they lived through our divorce and just all of the things, they have their own trauma. I refuse to let them put on more masks. I refuse to do that. And that is what Reaching Through does. So if you don't have that ability to have that when you're young and to have those support systems, how many want support right now when you're older? This is hurting, okay? But we thought something that was so easy at the beginning, right? So it's not how much you hold, it really isn't. It's how long you choose to hold it. Without supports, without help, without going, hey, you're not okay. Don't tell anybody. But sometimes I'll be like, 8 o'clock, who needs to be there? Oh Lord, school board member in the house, Lord Jesus. But I do text and be like, nah, maybe come in like a little late today. But that's because, you know, I just had a big old blow up with my kid. And my system hasn't reset yet. And I just need like just a little bit more time, right? And it's okay for us to take those moments, because I do stay late and you know, there's a little bit of, yes, there's a person back there, thank you for the amen corner. So Reaching Through does that. So that is the thing that we do with executive coaching, leadership development, and all those wonderful things, but it's a hard sell. I had someone recently tell me that, and if I said his name, you all would probably know him. He said, I had to put your book down twice. I really tried to pick it up. He said, but you know what? As my sister was dying of cancer, my mom died. So I know that I'm being busy because I don't want to deal with it. Because the book has prompts and it takes you through the grieving process. He said, I don't want to do that. I tried at Thanksgiving break. I tried again at Christmas break. But see, that even made me take off the mask of, this is not me being popular and my business exploding and all of that kind of stuff, because that's not the people that I serve. It's gonna be the people who are ready to do the deep, hard work. Because I finally had to apologize to my kids. And I said, you know what? I put my career before your emotion. I did. And unfortunately, I wasn't always the mom you needed at that time. Please forgive me. I will try to do better. I said try. Because I did pencil them in for this weekend. Pencil. Something else happened. No, I'm just kidding. But we have to do that. You know? So I just wanted to encourage you all tonight of what does it look like if you were to remove the mask and show up full, whole. I go from the strict disciplinarian at work, not too strict, don't say a word, and I'm not gonna look over here, to the dancer at Meet Theater, the dancer with the wait staff at Meet Theater. Cause that's who I am. And it's so interesting.
I was there.
And let me tell you the most beautiful part about that. I got one of the people on our steering pole, he I'm not gonna say her name, text me and said, "Thank you for pulling me on the dance floor. Corporate had made me stiff. And I forgot I had hips that could move." I was like, oh, mama. But now, of course, you know, you have the decorum and there's spaces, you know, you're not gonna get up in the middle of the school board meeting and, you know, be a little big, but there are rooms for you to be transparent, and that's what Reaching Through wants to do. And so this talk, I'll finish with this. There are 3 points that I want you to remember about when you remove the mask. It's hard. And you will find yourself easing into those moments again, and your body will become dysregulated. When I say I'm not gonna fix it, I literally started having heart palpitations. I even told a good friend here lately, listen, this group, I'm gonna lead them like this is a different group. But I had to tap into a different skill set. Cause they're the fixers, not me. I'm the guide. So you gotta know, but my heart was like, we gotta do this, we're gonna do that. And it's like, but it's not yours to carry. Cause some of us in here, listen, y'all be like, oh, Mija, is that too much? Just pour it on in here. Come on, Mija, pour it in here. I got you. Come on. Y'all is already hurt. But you just don't keep on pouring the stuff in, like you put it in there. Like that ain't even put it in there. That ain't set it down. But you just put it on in there. So it's gonna be difficult. The second thing is, it is gonna be rewarding. I literally told my therapist, who Shelby, her name is Hazel. She's an old broad, she had to be old, so she needed wisdom, so I'm kind of stubborn. But I told her, like, this feels so different, you know? Because I've gone to some therapists and they're like, look, you already know more than me because it's deep work. And so sometimes they're so surface, I'm like, that doesn't help me. It doesn't. But Hazel, she's my daughter. She's my girl, woman. And so when I told her that, I was like, but it's the most rewarding. It really is. I now have my nervous system and I have to breathe and do all of the things in order to get myself, hey, and I say this now, not my circus, not my monkeys. It's just not, that's not mine. Or I'll say, oh, that's their job, stay out of it, stay here, right? And then the third one is, if you go down this journey, you're gonna lose some things and some people. Because some people are connected to you because they know that you are the meal. You know, and it's called gaslighting people, where they're like, oh, do you really want to take this? And they're just pouring it like, oh no, don't you take it all from me. And they're like, you know, cup upside down, trying to get the last bit in yours. All of that. You're gonna lose people along the way. And so the people that you started with, you're gonna look around and you're gonna be like, man, I thought so-and-so would always be in my circle, man. man, I just knew all the conversations that we've had, and man, I knew that they were gonna be there, but not everybody. Just like that C-suite male told me, not everybody is willing to go on the journey. If you're willing to go on the journey, feel free to scan the QR code and put your contact information in there for me, if you're willing to go on that journey. But I will tell you, just like I end everything that I do, is to do you and lose through. Thank you.
Oh, that was wonderful. This
Now we
evening.
Tennis here.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Wells? All right.
I especially my time commitment, though, but then I do be going to work on time, let's say that out loud.
Okay, so she does go to work on time.
Thank you.
I'll spike.
Yes,
Okay.
You never said revelation.
Oh. No.
And I felt like you had lots of them along the way. And so I guess my question, almost in jest, is, did you just want to torture these people to hold up their mask over?
I did.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. I thought somebody was gonna say, like, hey, you didn't say this. Well, first of all, my 3 revelations were that it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be challenging, and it's all gonna be all that. But I also want you to know that especially teenagers, they're waiting, they have the question, but they don't ask it. And this is why I know, this is what I know to be true. One of them said, hey, you know, when we were little, you would tuck us in at night, you know, make sure everything is okay, read a book to them and all of that. We didn't ask you to stop coming into our room. So at what age did you decide to stop going in and checking on me? You decided that. So in my mind, I created this detachment. Oh no! She's apologizing to her daughter. But so those are the things that we talk about in Reach Through, because you don't even understand. The question wasn't asked. And so all they are doing is like, what if we taught them to be compliant? Don't you say a word? You better make sure, don't you make me look crazy out here. And so they are compliant and mad as and angry as heck. You wanna know why there's mental health issues right now in that group, especially the ones that went through COVID, high school COVID? Do you wanna know why we have social issues and it's hard for them to even connect? Because we haven't called them into this world. We let them sit behind a screen, we let them play their game, we let them do all of that. We have not invited them. And I have to get myself, because when I go through any kind of drive-through, you know, the insecticide, whatever you put in there, that's non-organic. When I do go through healthy, let's just say Panera Bread. Okay, when I go through there in places like that, when I go through, I need you to acknowledge me. You know? But those little skills, how dare we say they're just rude and they're just this and they're just, when we allowed them to do that, to go into their bubble, forget about what we're talking about, Where are we training that? And that's the reaching through piece. And so I always go, hey, Antonio, how are you doing? Da 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 da. I was like, well, how long you been on here? Da 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 da. When really I'm like, acknowledge me. But that's the training piece too, right? But the answer is they never asked.
And that's so true. I was thinking even as an educator, I tell when I say good morning to the children, good morning, how you doing? And some of them won't say anything. Good morning, how are you? You doing okay today? And get down eye level, and then they have no other choice but to say, oh, good morning, Miss Anderson. You don't know what they just dealt with over the weekend, or every Monday it's a reset. So I'm so glad you're talking about that social media part, because that's another thing. I feel like we've just lost this generation of children because the communication skills aren't there, the social skills aren't there, and having that attention span in school, we're dealing with a lot of behaviors, and we just really need parents that are more in touch.
Okay, yes and no.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna back off that because we created these people, you know? Helicopter mom. Why can't you make a decision, and now, right, I'm consulting with them. Why can't you just make a decision? Because you already gave me the structure and told me what to do. But now you're mad because you don't wanna tell me what to do. Helicopter parents. Well, why can't you talk to them? Cause you used to. You need to be an advocate for yourself. My daughter has dyslexia, so you need to be an advocate for yourself now. My daughter's different than my son. You know, you always have those ones. When you tell her to do it, you be like, but I have to give a caveat.
Yeah.
Advocate for yourself nicely. Well, you know I got an IEP and you gotta give me extra time. You know, that's not gonna work. That's not how we advocate, right? But we did it. We created this. That's why I am determined to reach through all of that. Because we created it. Our generation, 50, I'm 51. Yes, I'm 51. We created this. Look back. And this is how I knew it to be true. My son was in 10th grade and he was being recruited by all of these different people for football, right? You know what I did? I got him a 5-subject notebook. I need you to put who called you, what time, what was his name, and da. He said, Mom, I was like, don't worry about it, you just tell me, right? And so then, these people drove all the way from Oklahoma, they're sitting in my living room, and they're just talking to him and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, hey, I'm over here. You know, the hubby's sitting up like, what we doing? And he was like, Ma'am, I appreciate all of your hospitality. Don't do that. Don't dismiss me in a Southern Belle way, right? I appreciate all your hospitality. We drove down here to see if this young man and we are gonna be in this partnership. Now, you're not gonna be down there in the snow. And he has never been in any snow. Has he been in any snow? And I'm like, oh, hell no, but I can teach him how to be in the snow. You know? Well, he may not have been in any snow. And so we're gonna make sure that he knows how to critically think, basically, on his own. So we don't wanna talk to you. So then the next day I got this 5-subject notebook and I was like, here. Have fun. You know what I'm saying? He never used it again, of course, right? But we've done this. So now we gotta reach through. And we see this generation right now of those kiddos, man. Listen, and we're talking about, everybody's talking about they can't critically think. Well, no, because we did it. You know, the best thing and the worst thing that we can do for our kids is to give them the resilience. You looked at every speaker here, they talked about resilience. My story is all about resilience. Did your children have any experiences like that? Because we said, no, we're gonna give you everything that we didn't have. Everything that we didn't have. And now, if I were to go back, I'm gonna be really good with grandkids 5 years from now, like not tomorrow. But I would be really good with grandkids and I'm like, let them fail while they're with me.
Yeah.
So that I can still give them balance and structure, but just let them have it.
Again, happy hour is till 9 o'clock. Don't forget, our dream at gala is tomorrow. We plan to attend, there's a tickets left. And thank you all so much for coming out tonight and be safe going home and
Please leave your contact info.
yes, please do. Well, I see one speaker left, but I'd like to get a picture, if the photographer can get a picture of this speakers in front of our dream and
Okay.
display, please. Thank you again, and you guys have a safe evening.
Chad.
I would say so, I have to.
Speak now. Yes.
I'm sure it's for the website. I'm like,